Iranian officials are threatening war against the United States of America and its allies in the South Caucasus region after Armenia and Azerbaijan signed a peace agreement at the White House, which is supposed to put an end to the hostility between the two countries. But the key decision is the creation of a transport corridor that will pass through the territory of Armenia and will connect the main part of Azerbaijan with its exclave Nakhichevan. Such a corridor effectively destroys any land connection between Iran and the South Caucasus and, importantly, with Russia. And here we are already. Senior advisor to the Supreme Leader of Iran, Ali Akbar Velayati, stated that Iran will block the construction of the United States-backed transport corridor in the South Caucasus, adding that this will be done even without Russia's help. And then Velayati simply adds a terrible phrase. Such a corridor, quote, will become a graveyard for Donald Trump's mercenaries. Let's break down this whole situation. What Aliyev and Pashinyan signed the day before in Washington, what transport corridor we're even talking about, and why Iran is so fiercely trying to block it. I'm Alexei Pechi. It's August 9th. Let's go through this step by step. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and leave any comment you want. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechi News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, the President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, signed a declaration on the complete cessation of hostilities yesterday. This was announced by United States President Donald Trump, who held a trilateral meeting with the leaders of both countries at the White House. Next is a quote from Trump: "We have finally managed to establish peace. Armenia and Azerbaijan commit to permanently cease all hostilities, resume trade, travel and diplomatic relations, as well as respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity." The American president also announced that the United States will sign bilateral agreements with Yerevan and Baku to expand cooperation in the fields of energy, trade and high technology. In addition, Washington is lifting restrictions on defense cooperation with Azerbaijan. American businesses are ready to invest significant funds in infrastructure development in both countries, Donald Trump emphasized. Aliyev stated that the signed declaration will allow us to turn the page on confrontation and bloodshed and ensure a bright and safe future for future generations. Pashinyan emphasized that the agreements open a chapter of peace, prosperity, security and economic cooperation in the South Caucasus. But it is still unclear how the agreement will resolve key disagreements, particularly the issues of border demarcation. And Baku's demands to amend the constitution of Armenia, which still contains a reference to the 1989 call for the unification of Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh. But at that time it was an autonomous region within Soviet Azerbaijan. That is, this point is still written in the constitution of Armenia and it has not been resolved yet. It is known that this agreement provides Washington with exclusive rights to develop a transit route through the South Caucasus. This corridor, which is supposed to connect the southwest of Azerbaijan with its exclave Nakhichevan and reach the border with Turkey, will pass through the city of Megri in the Sionic region of Armenia. The project, which has been named in short Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity, will operate within the framework of Armenian legislation. But the United States will be able to attract an international consortium for the construction and operation of the infrastructure. And as Reuters sources note today, it is expected that the implementation of the corridor will open the region to new economic ties and reduce the risk of renewed military actions. Well, the most important element of this agreement can be called the creation of a transit route through the so-called Zangezur corridor, which will connect the main part of Azerbaijan with its exclave Nakhichevan. Now, the term Zangezur corridor will of course be phased out and it will now be called the Donald Trump corridor, but in fact it's the same thing. The location and route remain the same, only the name is different. But what's also important is that the agreement contains a provision for both sides to refrain from international lawsuits and a ban on the deployment of third country troops on the shared borders. So why is this important? Russians who were in the region as so-called peacekeepers must leave this region forever and never stick their unwashed noses in there again. Moreover, both sides agreed to dissolve the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe mission, which was established back in the late 90s, supposedly to solve the Karabakh issue. But in fact, this is what gave the Russians the right to bring their troops into this region. Now this era is over. And the other points that previously appeared in the media of both states concern the determination of the borderline, the exchange of prisoners, and the implementation of measures to support refugees and internally displaced persons. Thus, the document should become a comprehensive basis for resolving the long-standing conflict and establishing cooperation between the two countries. It's funny that Moscow is completely silent about this. Russia isn't reacting at all. The Russian government, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Putin, the Kremlin, and Peskov, has not commented on the peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan signed in the United States. This historic step in the Caucasus leaves the Kremlin without any reaction, despite being a real humiliation for Russians. They were forcefully expelled from the region, grabbed and tossed out unceremoniously. And they said that you should never show up here again, just for decades ahead, so that not even a trace of your Russian presence is here. But the Kremlin is silent, as if nothing happened. Interestingly, the unwashed Rossiyansi think that if the Kremlin is silent, then everything is fine. So everything is normal. I mean, they will never admit that they lost very badly in this situation. But now Iran has started to snap back. Iran will block the construction of the United States-backed transport corridor in the South Caucasus. This will be done even without Russia's help. This is a statement from the senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Ali Akbar Velayati. In Iran, they fully understand that Trump's new transport route, which is actually the Zangezur corridor, will connect mainland Azerbaijan with the Autonomous Republic of Nakhchivan. Importantly, it completely bypasses both Iran and Russia. They are not involved here at all. Moreover, the corridor will be managed by an American company for 99 years with the right to further extension. According to Ali Akbar Velayati, this will threaten regional security and change the geopolitical map of the region. That is why Iran will block this construction by all available means, including military force. Next is a quote from Velayati. Mr. Trump believes that the Caucasus is real estate that he can lease for 99 years. This passage will not become a gateway for Trump's mercenaries. It will become their grave and cemetery. Iran has always opposed the Zangezur corridor because it will change borders, fragment Armenia, and limit Iran's access to the region. Velayati also said that when Turkey and Azerbaijan were previously promoting this plan, Iran conducted several military exercises on its northwestern border to demonstrate its readiness to block this transit corridor by military means. A quote from Velayati says that Moscow also opposes the corridor for strategic reasons, but with or without Russia, we will act in the interests of ensuring the security of the South Caucasus. And calling this corridor a political conspiracy rather than just a trade route, Velayati said it would give NATO the opportunity to take a snake-like position between NATO and Russia. He asserts that no Armenian government can rightfully consent to dividing its territory despite United States pressure. Why are you interfering in Armenia's affairs, Velayati? Do you genuinely care that deeply about Armenia? Well, we understand that no, it's not about Armenia. Pashinyan allegedly told the Iranian leadership earlier that he was against this route, but now he has betrayed Tehran, so in Iran, Pashinyan has also been labeled a traitor and an enemy. But in fact, Iran understands that it is losing all connections with the South Caucasus, and it is losing its land connections with Russia, which supports the regime in Tehran. Iran will no longer be able to have any influence over this region. All transport, trade, and logistics corridors will bypass Iran. Iran finds itself in complete isolation. Now nobody in the region needs it at all. All trade routes from China and Asia through the Caucasus to Turkey and then to Europe will go through this corridor. Previously, part of Iran's territory was used due to the Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. Iran is now completely irrelevant and unnecessary in the region. And now Iran says we will try to prevent the construction of this corridor by military force, and covers it all up by claiming that it supposedly cares about Armenia. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinion and conclusions in the comments under this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.